You are bleeding on the inside and pretending you're fine. You're tired. You're trapped. You're afraid nothing will ever change. But hear this now. This is your breaking point, and heaven is watching. The chains you've carried are about to snap. This is the moment you stop surviving and start rising. If you are tired of being the same person, listen to me very carefully. Listen not with your ears alone, but with your spirit. Because what you are tired of is not your face, not your name, not your job, not your surroundings. What you are tired of is a pattern, a cycle, a prison you have lived in for too long. I can see it in your silence. I can hear it in your sigh. You wake up in the morning and you already know how the day will go. The same reactions, the same weaknesses, the same fears, the same anger, the same excuses. You promise yourself change, but by evening you are the same person again. And you ask yourself, why am I like this? Let me tell you something, you are not tired of life. You are tired of limitation. You are tired of seeing what you could be, yet living beneath it. You are tired of knowing you were created for more, yet settling for less. Many people want a new life, but they don't want a new mind. They want a new result, but they don't want a new discipline. They want transformation without confrontation. But I tell you today, transformation begins when you are tired enough to confront yourself. Yes, I said confront yourself, not your neighbor, not your family, not the economy, not your past, yourself. The greatest battle is not outside. The greatest battle is within. Two voices live inside you. One says, stay the same, it is safe here. The other says, rise. You were not born for this level. And every day, one of those voices wins. If you are tired of being the same person, it means the voice of greatness is becoming louder. It means something inside you is refusing to die. It means purpose is knocking. But listen to me carefully, being tired is not enough. Many people are tired, but they never change. They complain, they cry, they blame, but they remain the same. Why? Because they are comfortable in their discomfort. They are used to their pain. They have built an identity around their weakness. That's just how I am, they say. I have always been like this. No, that is not who you are. That is who you have practiced being. You have practiced fear. You have practiced doubt. You have practiced laziness. You have practiced anger. You have practiced limitation. And anything you practice long enough becomes natural. If you practice faith, faith becomes natural. If you practice discipline, discipline becomes natural. If you practice courage, courage becomes natural. So the question is not, why am I like this? The question is, what have I been practicing? There are people listening right now who are tired of failing in the same area, tired of breaking the same promises, tired of starting and stopping, tired of being controlled by emotion, tired of being ruled by habits. Let me tell you something powerful. You cannot change what you refuse to face. Many people pray for change, but they hide from truth. They ask for a breakthrough, but they avoid responsibility. You cannot receive a new life while protecting the old mindset. If you are tired of being the same person, then be ready to let some things die. Let the old thinking die. Let the old excuses die. Let the old identity die. You say you want to grow, but growth requires stretching. And stretching is uncomfortable. When you stretch a muscle, you feel pain. But that pain is proof of expansion. The pain you feel right now, that frustration, that dissatisfaction, it is not your enemy. It is a signal. It is telling you that you have outgrown your current level. There is more in you. Say it within yourself, there is more in me. You were not created to repeat cycles. You were not created to be average. You were not created to live controlled by fear. You were created with power, with purpose, with potential. But potential is not automatic. It must be activated. How? Through decision, not emotion. Decision. Emotion says, I feel inspired today. Decision says, I will change even when I don't feel like it. Emotion says, I will try. Decision says, I will do. Emotion fades. Decision stands. If you are tired of being the same person, then decide. Decide that this pattern ends with you. Decide that this weakness will not control you another year. Decide that your future will not look like your past. Because listen carefully, if you do not change your direction, you will end up where you are headed. You cannot think the same and expect different results. You cannot speak the same and expect a different atmosphere. You cannot act the same and expect a different future. Everything begins in the mind. Your mind is like a garden. If you plant doubt, you harvest fear. If you plant excuses, you harvest failure. If you plant discipline, you harvest success. What have you been planting? Some people are waiting for a miracle to change them, but the greatest miracle is a renewed mind. When your mind changes, your life follows. You say you are tired of anger, then change the thoughts that feed it. You say you are tired of failure, then change the habits that create it. You say you are tired of fear, then face what you have been avoiding. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward despite fear. The same person you are tired of being was built one choice at a time. And the new person you desire will also be built one choice at a time. Small choices, daily choices, consistent choices. Do not despise small beginnings. A giant tree begins as a seed, but the seed must break before it grows. And breaking is painful. You cannot become new without breaking from the old. Old friends may not understand you. Old habits will fight back. Old thoughts will whisper, come back. But if you want a new level, you must release the old environment within you. Change is not about location. You can move to another city and still be the same person. You can change jobs and still carry the same mindset. Real change is internal. When your inside changes, your outside responds. There are people here who are tired of procrastination. You have dreams, but you delay. You have ideas, but you hesitate. Let me tell you something. Delay is the thief of destiny. You don't need more time. You need more discipline. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Right now, comfort is attractive. Right now, excuses are easy. Right now, staying the same feels safe. But safety is not always growth. The caterpillar must leave its comfort to become a butterfly. If it refuses the process, it will die crawling. Do not die crawling when you were created to fly. Some of you are tired because you know you are living beneath your capacity. You laugh with people, but inside you are disappointed in yourself. You smile, but you know you are capable of more. That dissatisfaction is not condemnation. It is conviction. It is calling you higher. But listen to me carefully. Do not try to change everything at once. That is how many people fail. They become emotional, they promise 10 new habits, and after 1 week they return to the old pattern. Change one thing, master it, then move to the next. If you are tired of being negative, start by controlling your words. If you are tired of being lazy, start by waking up earlier. If you are tired of being weak, start by strengthening one discipline daily. Consistency beats intensity. Many people are intense for 3 days and then disappear. But the person who shows up daily, even when tired, even when discouraged, will transform. You must understand something powerful. The old version of you will not disappear quietly. It will fight for survival. It will remind you of your past failures. It will say, you have tried before. It will say, this is who you are. But that voice is not your destiny. It is your history. And history does not control the future unless you allow it. If you fall, get up. If you fail, learn. If you feel weak, rest but do not quit. The difference between those who change and those who remain the same is not perfection. It is persistence. You may not see results immediately. You may not feel different in 1 week. But change is happening beneath the surface. Just because you don't see growth does not mean growth is not occurring. A building rises slowly, brick by brick, habit by habit, thought by thought. Stop looking for overnight transformation. Focus on daily obedience to your decision. If you are tired of being the same person, then forgive yourself. Yes, Forgive yourself for past mistakes. Forgive yourself for wasted time. Forgive yourself for wrong decisions. Guilt keeps you chained to the old identity. Forgiveness releases you to build a new one. You cannot move forward while constantly looking backward. But forgiveness is not permission to repeat. It is permission to restart. Stand up internally and say, enough is enough. Enough of self-sabotage. Enough of fear. Enough of comparison. Enough of settling. Comparison is another trap. You look at others and feel behind. But you are not called to be another person. You are called to maximize your own capacity. When you focus on others, you neglect your assignment. Stay in your lane. Build your strength. Improve daily. There is something powerful about personal responsibility. The moment you say, my life is my responsibility, power returns to you. As long as you blame, you remain powerless. The moment you take ownership, change becomes possible. You may not control everything that happened to you, but you control how you respond, and response creates direction. If you are tired of being the same person, then change your response. When insulted, respond with maturity. When challenged, respond with growth. When afraid, respond with action. Action silences doubt. Many people overthink transformation. They analyze, they plan, they imagine, but they do not act. And without action, nothing changes. You do not need to feel ready. You need to begin. Read that book. Start that discipline. Make that call. Take that step. Movement creates momentum. And let me tell you something deeply important. Do not wait for everyone to support you. Some people are comfortable with the old version of you because it makes them comfortable with staying the same. When you rise, you remind them of what they are not doing. So rise anyway. Clap for yourself when no one claps. Encourage yourself when no one encourages. Push yourself when no one pushes. Because at the end of the day, you live with yourself. Imagine 1 year from now. Imagine looking back at today. Will you be grateful you started or disappointed you delayed? Time will pass anyway. The question is, will you pass with it or will you grow through it? If you are tired of being the same person, then this is your moment. Not tomorrow, not next month. Now, close your eyes internally and see the person you could become. Disciplined, focused, confident, calm, productive, mature, strong. That person is not a fantasy. That person is a decision away. But remember, becoming new is not about pretending. It is about practicing. Practice integrity. Practice discipline. Practice courage. Practice self-control. With time, practice becomes identity. One day you will look back and realize you are no longer fighting the same battles. The things that once controlled you will no longer have power. The triggers will lose strength. The habits will lose grip. And you will realize something powerful. You did not need a new life. You needed a renewed mind and consistent action. You are not stuck. You are conditioned. And what has been conditioned can be reconditioned. So stand up internally. Make a covenant with yourself. Refuse to settle. Refuse to shrink. Refuse to repeat cycles. There is greatness in you that has been waiting for permission to rise. Give it permission. Do not leave here inspired only. Leave decided. When temptation comes, remember your decision. When laziness whispers, remember your decision. When fear rises, remember your decision. Decision is your anchor. If you are tired of being the same person, then this is the day the old story ends. This is the day excuses lose power. This is the day discipline begins. This is the day growth becomes your lifestyle. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too weak. You are capable of more than you have demonstrated, but capability must meet commitment. So commit. Commit to growth. Commit to discipline. Commit to consistency. Commit to becoming the highest version of yourself. And one day, when someone asks you what changed, you will not say it was easy. You will not say it was instant. You will say, I became tired of my old self and I decided to rise. And that decision changed everything. The day you refuse to remain the same is the day everything begins to shift. Not around you first, But within you, it is not a loud day. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes it comes quietly, like a deep breath after years of suffocation. Sometimes it comes in the middle of the night when sleep refuses to comfort you. Sometimes it comes after another repeated mistake, another broken promise to yourself, another moment of looking in the mirror and realizing you are tired, not of life, but of limitation. There comes a moment when excuses lose their sweetness, when blaming others feels childish, when repeating the same habits feels exhausting. That is the sacred moment. That is the turning point. The day you refuse to remain the same is not the day circumstances change. It is the day your tolerance for mediocrity dies. Many people want change, but few refuse stagnation. Wanting is weak. Refusing is powerful. Wanting says, I hope things improve. Refusing says, enough. This ends here. Wanting waits for motivation. Refusing creates discipline. Wanting depends on feelings. Refusing depends on decision. When you refuse to remain the same, something inside you stands up. It is the part of you that has been whispering for years. The part that knows you were created for more. The part that has watched you settle, watched you delay, watched you compromise. And finally, you listen. Refusal is not anger at the world. It is clarity about yourself. It is the understanding that your patterns have produced your present reality. It is the acceptance that if nothing changes within, nothing will change without. The day you refuse to remain the same, you stop negotiating with weakness. You stop saying, just this one more time. You stop excusing procrastination. You stop justifying fear. You stop romanticizing your struggles while protecting the habits that create them. You begin to see clearly. You see that your comfort zone has become your cage. You see that the familiar pain has felt safer than the unfamiliar growth. You see that you have been repeating cycles, not because you are incapable, but because you were unwilling to confront yourself deeply. Refusal requires honesty, brutal honesty. You look at your life without filters. You examine your habits without defense. You observe your reactions without pretending they are someone else's fault. That level of truth is uncomfortable, but it is liberating, because once you see clearly, you can act clearly. The day you refuse to remain the same, you understand that transformation is not magic. It is repetition. It is discipline. It is small choices stacked daily. You no longer search for dramatic breakthroughs. You begin to respect consistent effort. You wake up differently, not because you feel inspired, but because you remember your decision. Refusal becomes your anchor. When laziness whispers, you answer with action. When doubt speaks, you answer with persistence. When fear appears, you move anyway. Fear does not disappear on the day you refuse to remain the same. It simply loses authority. You no longer allow it to decide your direction. You understand that fear is a feeling, not a commander. You feel it, but you do not obey it. The day you refuse to remain the same, you stop waiting for perfect conditions. You realize that waiting has been your hiding place. You told yourself you would start when you felt ready, when you had more support, when circumstances improved. But readiness is a myth created by hesitation. Growth begins in imperfection. Refusal creates momentum. It may begin with one action, one difficult conversation, one disciplined morning, one choice to respond differently. But that one action breaks the illusion that you are stuck. It proves that change is possible because movement is possible. You start to notice your thoughts. You catch negativity before it settles. You interrupt self-sabotage before it takes control. You become aware of your internal dialogue. Awareness is power. What you observe, you can adjust. The day you refuse to remain the same, you become intentional. You no longer drift through days reacting to everything. You choose your responses. You choose your habits. You choose your environment carefully. You understand that what surrounds you influences what grows within you. Refusal is not loud motivation. It is quiet commitment. It is the decision to show up daily even when no one is watching. It is the willingness to do what is necessary not just what is comfortable. It is choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure. You begin to understand discipline in a new way. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect. It is honoring your future self. It is protecting your potential. Every disciplined act becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. The day you refuse to remain the same, you forgive yourself. You stop carrying the weight of past failures as identity. You recognize that mistakes were events, not definitions. You release guilt not to excuse behavior, but to free yourself to build differently. Refusal also requires separation. Sometimes from environments that keep you small. Sometimes from conversations that feed negativity. Sometimes from habits that feel harmless but quietly steal your time and focus. Separation is not arrogance, it is alignment. You begin to value time differently. You understand that every day lived on repeat is a day not invested in growth. You measure your actions against your goals. You ask yourself difficult questions. Are my habits aligned with my dreams? Are my routines supporting my potential? The day you refuse to remain the same, you embrace discomfort. You understand that discomfort is the gateway to expansion. Muscles grow under tension. Character grows under challenge. Confidence grows through action. You stop seeking validation. You realize that waiting for approval has delayed your progress. Not everyone will understand your shift. Not everyone will celebrate your discipline. Some may resist your growth because it reflects their stagnation. You grow anyway. Refusal is a boundary you draw with yourself. It says, I will not return to that level. It is not about perfection. You may stumble. You may have difficult days, but you no longer accept defeat as identity. You adjust, you learn, you continue. The day you refuse to remain the same, your standards rise. You expect more from your effort. You expect more from your mindset. You expect more from your time. Standards shape behavior. When your standards increase, your actions follow. You begin to understand responsibility deeply. You stop blaming your upbringing, your circumstances, your past. You acknowledge influence, but you claim ownership. Ownership returns power to your hands. As long as responsibility is external, control is external. Refusal creates clarity. You no longer scatter your energy across distractions. You focus, you prioritize, you simplify. You recognize that growth requires sacrifice. You cannot carry every old habit into a new season. The day you refuse to remain the same, you respect process. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop envying overnight success. You understand that depth takes time. Strength takes repetition. Character takes testing. You learn patience, not passive waiting, but active consistency. You trust that daily discipline compounds. You may not see dramatic results immediately, but you know seeds grow beneath the soil before they appear above it. Refusal transforms your reactions. Situations that once triggered anger now invite reflection. Challenges that once created panic now create strategy. Criticism that once wounded now becomes feedback. You evolve internally before circumstances evolve externally. The day you refuse to remain the same, comparison loses power. You stop measuring your progress against others. You focus on improvement over perfection. You celebrate small victories. You recognize growth in subtle shifts. You notice the space between stimulus and response. In that space lies freedom. Before, you reacted automatically. Now, you pause. You choose. That pause is transformation in action. Refusal strengthens resilience. When setbacks come, you do not collapse into old patterns. You examine what went wrong. You adapt. You continue. You understand that falling is not failing unless you refuse to rise. The day you refuse to remain the same, your identity begins to shift. Not because you declare it loudly, but because you practice it daily. You practice discipline until it feels natural. You practice courage until it becomes familiar. You practice integrity until it defines you. Identity is built through repetition. What you repeatedly do, you become. Refusal interrupts destructive repetition and replaces it with intentional action. You also learn silence. You do not announce every goal. You do not broadcast every change. You build quietly. You understand that noise does not equal progress. The day you refuse to remain the same, you guard your mind carefully. You filter what you consume. You recognize that thoughts are seeds. You become selective about influences. You nourish your mind with ideas that strengthen rather than weaken. Refusal brings humility. You accept that growth is ongoing. You remain teachable. You seek wisdom. You recognize that pride blocks progress. You become comfortable being uncomfortable. You stretch beyond familiar limits. You attempt things you once avoided. You speak when you once stayed silent. You begin when you once postponed. The day you refuse to remain the same, you redefine failure. Failure becomes feedback. It becomes instruction. It becomes refinement. You no longer interpret mistakes as proof of inadequacy, but as guidance for adjustment. You understand momentum. One disciplined day encourages another. One courageous act makes the next easier. Consistency builds confidence. Confidence builds capacity. Refusal shifts your energy. Complaining decreases. Action increases. Doubt decreases. Preparation increases. You move from victim mentality to builder mentality. You become aware of language. You replace "I can't" with "I'm learning." You replace "this is just who I am" with "this is who I have been but not who I must remain." The day you refuse to remain the same, you accept loneliness at times. Growth can feel isolating. Old environments may not resonate, but you understand that temporary isolation can produce long-term alignment. You stop running from discomfort and start studying it. You ask what it teaches. You allow challenges to shape character rather than shrink confidence. Refusal deepens self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, trust grows. Self-trust is powerful. When you trust yourself, you act boldly. You also learn balance. Refusal is not self-punishment. It is sustainable growth. You rest strategically. You recover intentionally. You avoid burnout by valuing consistency over extremes. The day you refuse to remain the same, you see possibilities where you once saw limits. Your perception expands. You realize that boundaries were often assumptions. You no longer romanticize potential. You activate it. You understand that potential unused is potential wasted. You turn ideas into action. Refusal clarifies purpose. As you eliminate distractions, what matters becomes obvious. You align your actions with meaning. You prioritize impact over impression. You embrace accountability. You track progress. You evaluate habits. You adjust strategies. Growth becomes measurable, not mystical. The day you refuse to remain the same, you build inner stability. External chaos may continue, but you are less shaken. Your foundation strengthens. You practice gratitude, not as denial of ambition, but as fuel for it. Gratitude shifts perspective from scarcity to possibility. Refusal changes relationships. You communicate boundaries. You expect mutual respect. You attract those aligned with growth. You become solution-focused. Problems no longer paralyze you. They challenge you to think creatively. The day you refuse to remain the same, you live intentionally. You design your days instead of drifting through them. You value mornings. You review evenings. You improve continuously. You accept that growth is not linear. There will be fluctuations. But your commitment remains steady. Refusal transforms self-image. You begin to see yourself as capable. You act accordingly. Behavior aligns with belief. You detach from labels. You are not confined to past roles. You redefine yourself through action. The day you refuse to remain the same, you understand that greatness is built in private moments, in unseen discipline, in quiet perseverance. You measure success differently, not only by results, but by integrity of effort. Refusal builds courage incrementally. Small acts accumulate into bold moves. You stop seeking comfort as the highest value. You seek growth. You seek alignment. You seek excellence. The day you refuse to remain the same, you stop postponing life. You engage fully. You pursue intentionally. You build relentlessly. You realize that transformation is not an event, but a lifestyle. Not a single breakthrough, but continuous refinement. Refusal becomes identity. Growth becomes normal. Discipline becomes familiar. Courage becomes practiced. You wake each day aware that you are shaping your future through present choices. You understand that remaining the same is a choice, and so is evolving. You choose evolution daily. You choose responsibility daily. You choose discipline daily. You choose growth daily. You choose alignment daily. You choose action daily. You choose resilience daily. You choose awareness daily. You choose improvement daily. You choose expansion daily. You choose courage daily. You choose consistency daily. You choose standards daily. You choose integrity daily. You choose patience daily. You choose focus daily. You choose intention daily. You choose ownership daily. You choose commitment daily. You choose progress daily. You choose to rise daily.